love bugs? It's Dr. Ashley Greer. I am in the sun. Oh, there's some shade. I am here in my backyard in Bali, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the importance of emotions. This is something that I talked about briefly in a post yesterday on Facebook that got a lot of shares and likes and things like that. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about why your emotions are important and why folks from toxic backgrounds tend to break themselves off and separate themselves from their emotions. So a lot of times when people come from toxic backgrounds, they are fundamentally invalidated in their emotions. They are taught that their emotions don't matter. They're being dramatic. They're being ridiculous. They're overreacting. They need to stuff it down. They need to shut it up. All of those things, right? And so because of this, what happens when your emotions are invalidated time and time again is you start lacking trust in your emotional environment. You start lacking trust in this inner world that's going on inside of you. You start lacking trust in yourself, essentially. And so when you start to lack trust in yourself, when you start to lack trust in your emotions, what happens is you start to separate yourself from your emotions. You begin to cut yourself off completely from those emotions. You might even begin doing something that psychologists call dissociating, which is essentially you kind of drift off and you become completely numbed out and just totally separate when strong emotions occur in your world. The reason that this is so destructive is that emotions are information. Emotions are really, really good and really, really important, because the more that we can connect with our emotions, the more that we're going to connect with our greatest desires, the more that we're going to connect with when people aren't right for us, when people are crossing our boundaries, when people are disrespecting us, when people aren't right for us, when opportunities aren't right for us, when opportunities are great opportunity for us. Those things are fueled. That knowledge is fueled by your emotions. And so you need to be able to connect with your emotions in order to connect with your own inner intuitive guide, with your own inner guru, as I like to say. Your emotions are the key to that. Your emotions are the key to your inner wisdom that will allow you to know what's right for you and what's not right for you. Because the more you allow yourself to feel, the more you allow yourself to know about what's going around you. It's sort of like, they talk about, I think it was these Native American trackers that were used in the Vietnam War, right? And when they first went to war, they had all their hair cut off. And when they got all their hair cut off, they stopped being able to track as well. And they actually found that these trackers had their long hair was actually another sense organ that was able to, sense the environment around them. Well, this is essentially what's going on when you cut yourself off from your emotions. Your emotions are another sense organ that's giving you information about what's going on in your environment. It's giving you information about what's going on in the world around you. And so when you come from a toxic background and you say to yourself, it's dangerous to feel emotions, people aren't going to respect me if I feel my emotions make me far too vulnerable, my emotions are far too scary, my emotions are bad, you are cutting yourself off from one of those amazing sense organs that you have, one of these amazing divine gifts that you've been given to be able to discern what's good for you and what's not good for you. What's even more important is that a lot of times these emotions will get stuck, right? They'll get stuck inside of you because you've been swallowing them down and stuffing them down your entire life. And as you've been stuffing them down and swallowing them down your entire life, what you've been doing is you've been essentially creating blockages inside of you, which create these limiting beliefs. I know that's one of those terms, but limiting beliefs, like these limits on what's okay to feel and what's okay to do, because, I'm so uncomfortable with my emotions. It's not okay to feel uncomfortable. It's not okay to feel like I might encounter people who don't like me, because that will make me feel like I'm not good enough. And so I can't handle that. So I can't feel these emotions. So you get really stuck. And you get really, hey, Ruth, good to see you too. Yes, 2 nights in a row with the video in the group yesterday. Thank you. So these emotions get stuck and they make you feel as though it's too dangerous to feel this emotional experience. And so you refuse to do anything that could possibly stimulate that emotional experience, even if the thought about stimulating the emotional experience is just a fear. So you might fear getting into a relationship, because what could happen in a relationship? You could be rejected. Somebody might say no. Oh my God. And if the thought of rejection and somebody saying no to you and someone saying they don't want you is so threatening, because that emotion is so threatening to you, you will never allow yourself to have what you really want. And so then you'll hold yourself back from going to get what you really want, from embracing the things that would make you really happy, because you're afraid of feeling the emotion which has become the biggest threat to you in your mind which of course is absolute nonsense. Emotions aren't threats. They are valuable information once we learn how to feel those emotions. Somebody reached out to me today and asked, well, how do you experience those emotions? How do you open up the jar of those emotions and experience them without getting totally overwhelmed, right? Especially when you come from a toxic background. You're used to feeling really totally overwhelmed with your emotions. Well, the key is to allow yourself to feel them, to work with somebody who has lots and lots of experience and education about doing this. I have gone through this myself. I have my own toxic background I've worked through, and I have my PhD in psychology. But even more than that, the most important thing is to stop feeling guilty about having your emotions, to stop spiraling into all of that criticism and shame and self-judgment that comes up when you feel bad, or you feel uncomfortable, or you feel like something is hard, or you feel rejected. The problem isn't the emotion, the initial emotion that we feel. The problem is all of the crap that we throw at ourselves for feeling anything to begin with. And when we can begin to control all of that crap that we throw at ourselves for feeling these emotions, when we can stop that inner asshole in our head that constantly makes us feel bad for feeling anything, especially, when we're not positive, that's why I speak against the cult of positivity. It's not that I don't believe in the law of attraction and those things. It's that it's not about being positive all the time. It's about being able to turn your perception based on not judging yourself for having the emotions. Move through the emotions, but don't unpack there. And to not unpack there, you need to have skills so that you don't get stuck. And the way you get stuck is you get into all of that swirling spiral, that rabbit hole of shame, judgment, guilt, and self-blame, and all of those things, that say it's not okay for me to feel. And this is what I help my clients with. This is why having somebody at your back who has all this psychological knowledge and experience, specialized training in trauma is so essential, because you can't just wave a magic wand and make all this stuff go away. Yes, it can help clear some of those blocks so that you can begin to feel it, but you need to recondition your experience so that you can feel your emotions. Because otherwise, you're just bypassing them again. You're just bypassing your emotions again. And you're believing that emotions are dangerous. I have to just release them so that I don't have them anymore because they're too scary. Emotions don't have to be scary. Emotions don't have to be overwhelming. Emotions don't have to pull you under. We have to recondition and teach you how to be able to tolerate your emotions again so that the emotions aren't scary. That's the whole ticket to being able to harness your emotions, to be able to understand when things aren't good for you, when things are great for you, to be able to get back in tune with your intuition. And that's just one of the many, 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 many things that I do with my clients who come from toxic childhoods, who come from toxic backgrounds, who come from narcissistic relationships, and all of those things that have made them feel as though it's not okay to feel, it's not okay to be themselves, they have to focus on other people's pleasure, on keeping other people happy, on managing other people's emotions, and not on themselves. One of my statements that I always say is self first is not selfish. When we fill our own cup, when we focus on it's okay to feel uncomfortable, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. It's okay to feel sad, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. We can move through it, and then we are full, and then we are happy, not because it's fake, not because we're trying to be happy, not because we're forcing something through, but because we have moved and allowed that sadness or grief or whatever it is to process through us. And we've been able to sit with the discomfort of it, not run away, and realize that it doesn't have to control us. All right, that's all I want to say. And that's all I want to talk to you about today. Until next time, I'm Dr. Ashley Greer, and I will talk to you again soon. If you're interested in working with me, please reach out and send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Mwah! Later.